I feel like before we begin, we must address the elephant in the room. These riots were not about the harms of the fast fashion industry. I know. I was incredibly ecstatic to learn more about how this impactful thing that's happening right now was impacting the 1940s.
Sheen is being canceled right now.
But that is not what they're about. These riots are actually a lot more interesting than I thought them to be. So get your popcorn and put on your sundresses because this is going to be an interesting one. The 1940s were a great time for racial tension amongst American citizens. World War II had just begun, creating a new time for a draft in American society in which the GI Bill was created, a bill that is still in place today, which helps veterans gain more financial aid, as they put it in the original document. Because of the draft, there was a lack of agricultural workers in American society, a job that is incredibly necessary, especially in times of war. Because of this, the United States reached a lot of different solutions to this problem. An agreement was reached with Mexico whereby temporary workers would migrate over here to work for the United States and help solve this issue. This was not well received by American society. In 1942, the United States started limiting a lot of resources in hopes of making more effort at changing things during the war. The production of wool suits and other apparel was directly impacted by the limitation of wool in the United States. Although the production of suits had been outlawed, there was black market tailors that continued to persist to make these suits. Racial tensions increased since Mexican teenagers were still wearing the suits that had been outlawed, which made them appear un-American to American citizens. These suiters were often connected to the Sleepy Lagoon murder. Known by its moniker, the Sleepy Lagoon is one of the bigger reserves that's located outside of Los Angeles. A fight broke out among suit enthusiasts at a gathering close to Sleepy Lagoon on the evening of August 1st, 1942. Jose Diaz, one of the party guests, had passed away by the following morning. The local tabloids stoked a popular outrage against the passed away the following morning. California government Culver Olson used Diaz's death as a justification for the Los Angeles Police Department to pick up over 600 young men and women, most of who were Mexican Americans, citing juvenile misbehavior. The news media persisted in depicting the suiters as violent gang members who were capable of murder during the years of 1942 and 1943. An increasing number of individuals started to think that young Mexican Americans who were suiters were gang members and were violent because of these widespread of false news. The suit riots took place a couple of months right after the conviction of these Sleepy Lagoon murders. The riots began on June 3rd of 1943 after a group of sailors claimed that they had been attacked by a group of Mexican-American suiters. As a result, on June 4th, uniformed sailors seeked out the Mexican-American community in seek of these suiters.
Advanced vocabulary challenge.
The events that happened that evening increased tensions between servicemen and suiters. Many suiters were beaten by servicemen and stripped of their suits on the spot. The servicemen sometimes urinated on the suiters and burned them on the street. Ew. There was actually an article in the local paper that gave you instructions on how to de-suit a suitor, telling you to burn their clothes afterwards. These servicemen were actually praised as heroes in local papers for fighting crime in what we now would call a series of hate crimes. The worst of this rioting occurred on June 7th when a huge group of citizens left to the streets of Los Angeles and attacked a lot of Mexican-American suiters and even attacked members of minority groups who were not wearing suits. Hundreds of American teens were arrested in response to this conflict, most of which had already been attacked by servicemen in the first place. Additionally, it was reported that young Mexican Americans were asking to be taken into police custody so that they could keep themselves safe from the soldiers on the streets. Conversely, during the disturbances, very few soldiers and sailors were actually taken into custody. On June 8th, just after midnight, military authorities announced that all military members would not be allowed to enter Los Angeles. Officials ordered military police to monitor portions of the city and arrest disruptive military members after determining that the local police were either unable or unwilling to handle the problem. You were the problem. That the problem was you. The Los Angeles City Council's solution was to ban suits to be worn outside. Which, great solution. By June 10th, most of the rioting had subsided and most of the attacks had lowered down. However, this issue kept it going into some kind of domino effect into other states. I honestly don't know what they saw wrong with the suits. Like, they were stylish as heck.
Because it's iconic. And I love to do iconic shit.
There were several injured during these riots, but none were killed. The governor of California and future Chief Justice Earl Warren of the United States Supreme Court established a special commission to investigate the cause of these riots in response to a formal protest from the Mexican embassy. Whilst most people would just conclude that these were racially motivated, the mayor, Fletcher Brown, actually said that these were done by bigoted white Southerners as to make Los Angeles look positive in a worldwide view, and he claimed that there was absolutely no racial motivation to all of these riots. Interesting. A week after the riots had occurred, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt actually waded in on the Zoot riot issue on her My Day column in the daily newspaper. She said that the question goes deeper than just suits. It is a problem with roots going a long way back, and we do not always face these problems as we should. The very next day, Los Angeles actually fired back, being like, nah. That's literally what, just nah, to summarize everything. They basically just accused the First Lady of being a communist and that this was not a race discord. The public's remembrance of the Zoot riots has faded over time thanks to a lot more violent riots that have happened, like the 1992, what was it called? The LA riots, which claimed 63 lives. But even though this wasn't as violent as those types of things, it's still incredibly significant in history. These just prove that even in a city as racially diverse as Los Angeles, things such as war can inflame and just climb up and release social tensions that had not been shown before, and shine a light on things such as police brutality that was like the 1992 LA riots. Mexican Americans have historically been exploited in the United States, a fact that American and Chicano generations have endeavored into confronting and fighting in their own unique ways. Although neither generation was entirely successful, they all contributed to the heritage of the Mexicans as historical figures battling for self-determination and promoted the cause and passed on their knowledge. Harder political times have also made the leadership of the Mexican American weekend seem more inclined to follow the conservative winds of the day. While some progressive Mexican American groups continue to push for equality in rewards, rights, and integrity. The challenge for the future is about whether a new generation of community-driven activists can give a new meaning in life to the Mexican American legacy of struggle. Thank you.